What's going on, family? It's your girl, Dr. Shonna, and I came on today for Saturday. Got a couple of announcements, and then we're going to go ahead and get into today's special edition topic. But just so you can know, I am aware that it is Saturday, and today is usually Shooter Saturday. But we're not going to talk about any shootings I want to bring up today. I decided to come on today to talk about Ye, the artist formerly known as Kanye West. I think this conversation is essential for us to have, and I would like to share my thoughts and my opinions regarding this conversation. And just to let you guys know, I want you to come with an open mind, come with a different thought process. Don't come with how the media and others are training you to think. I want you to come ready to explore something different. And it's not going to be different from everybody. I'm pretty sure whether it's me talking about it or one of my other colleagues talking about it, I'm sure we all were able to see it from a different lens. But the media is going to have you to think a certain way. The media is going to have you to feel a certain way. And sometimes that can get, well, I don't know if I'm going to say sometimes, more often than not, that can get in the way of our critical thinking. So today I challenge you all to leave your judgments aside. I challenge you all to put on your critical thinking cap. I challenge you all to see something from a different perspective. Now, I know some of you guys already think similar to me, and that's cool. But the challenge is not in those of us who think similar. The challenge is in having a dialogue with those who do not think like us. That's where the challenge is, without having to lose our cool and to cuss a joker out. You know what I mean? So before we go ahead and get started, since y'all know what today's topic is, let me thank all of you guys for coming to the channel. To my moderators, if you see anything that's adult content, go ahead and block and close those people out. Don't come here spamming this channel with your adult content information. Those of you guys who are following me now on Instagram, I'm glad you guys are joining the Instagram community and where I share more of my personal life and particularly my relationship. I am a therapist, I am a couples therapist, and I am a marriage counselor. So, with that being said, that's where you'll see my relationship. That's where you'll see how we handle things. That's where you'll see our deep conversations. So, if you have not already gone over to Instagram at Dr. Shonna to follow me there, go over there and enjoy those conversations I have with my partner. Let's get talking. Because I don't even want to just waste any time. This is good because I don't want to be here all night tonight. It took me a while to speak about this because I viewed over 5 hours of content with Kanye West, aka Ye. I viewed over 5 hours of content because I really wanted to understand what he was saying. There's so many agendas out there. There's so many people who want to mute the main message of what he's saying and highlight the things in which they want you to see because they want you to see him as somebody who is nutty. They want you to see him as somebody who has a ill-treated mental illness. They want you to see him as somebody who is insane, somebody who is not well, somebody who is controversy, not because he's smart and brilliant, but because he's ill. That's how the world wants you to see him. So what I'm not going to do on this channel is have any conversations about the topics they want you to talk about. I'm not going to talk about what they're saying is inflammatory. I'm not going to bring in any race. I'm not going to bring any of that in. I want you guys to just listen to what I'm saying and you can fill in the blanks and read between the lines. And unfortunately, I have to do it this way because we know the censor gods do not like you to say certain things. So you have to be wise enough in your critical thought process to be able to decipher exactly what is being said, if you understand what I'm saying. Two of the main videos that I watched that were fascinating to me, and I'm using the word fascinating on purpose, was the interview he had on Drink Champs, which is with Nori, right? It's a 3 hour recording, but if you can withstand it, you will learn something very good by listening to what he's saying. Even though he made other people on that channel very nervous because they're used to seeing Kanye the way we're used to seeing Kanye, right? The Kanye that interrupts broadcasters say Bush hates black people. The Ye, should I say, oh, that was in his Kanye days, right? So the Kanye West that says Beyonce did a better job. The Kanye West that went to have a conversation with Trump. That's the Kanye West that they want you to see. The Kanye West they want you to see is the one that the media and mainstream society has painted as mentally ill. Now, I'm not saying Kanye does not have a diagnosis. I'm not saying that. You have to understand that having a disorder and being mentally ill are two different things. There's a lot of people who have disorders, mental health disorders that they're managing it. And the illness is when it's not managed, when it becomes out of control. In this situation, I do not think that Kanye is out of control. I don't. Now, that's going to be hard for a lot of people to be able to swallow. That's going to be hard for a lot of people to be able to hear because a lot of us have been trained to see him in a certain light, and a lot of us have been trained to think a certain way. But I do not think what we are seeing is illness. In fact, I think he's in his sane mind. I do. I do. I think he's in his sane mind. I'm not here to analyze what he said, whether it was right or wrong. That's not for me to decide. That's for you guys to decide. But I'm here to decipher the message. See, most people want you to focus on his statements, but I choose not to focus on that. I choose not to focus on the controversy. Ye is saying what a lot of people actually think. I'm gonna let y'all sit on that for a second. While you're sitting on that for a second, let me ask my babe to pass me something so I won't have to break my I won't have to break my phone. I won't have to break my connection with you guys, right? I want y'all to sit on that for a second. Most people agree with what he's saying. They're not going to say it aloud because the culture that we are living in does not allow that to happen. And it's so interesting because in every last video, I watched over 5 hours of these interviews. Every last video that I watch, what he highlights are some very critical points. And no one wants to have those conversations. They only want to focus on what is, was, or what they believe to be offensive. That's what they want to focus on. I'm not here to say whether it was offensive or not. It's not my focus. Ye speaks deeply about what our community experiences. And we all know that anytime we are speaking intelligently about our community, is always going to be a problem. No one wants to hear it. The conscious mind picks it up and rejects it, but the subconscious mind is at play. So I think he was brilliant with making sure this conversation hit mainstream. See, we've been having this conversation in our community for a very long time. What Ye is saying is nothing new to our community. We've been having it for a very long time, but he is someone who is considered to be controversial. He is someone who is, as he corrected Piers Morgan, he is a multi-millionaire. He is somebody who has had the media's attention for a very long time, and he has friends in high places. He's saying the things that we have been saying, the little people of the world, right? The little people in our community. He has been saying the things that we have been saying for a very long time, but that's not where they chose to engage the dialogue. Instead, they focus on the statement. Now, I understand why. I'm not upset about the need to have that conversation, rightfully so. Have it. It's a conversation. No conversation offends me. We should be able to talk about everything. Everything. So there's not a problem that they wanted to have that conversation. The problem is once you move past that, are you actually hearing the message? Or were you so focused on an apology that you've proven his point when you chose to ignore the message? If we choose only to focus on what media says is important, we're going to lose the message. What Ye understands is what a lot of people do not understand, that in order for you to destroy the matrix, you have to go through the matrix. And he chose to go through the matrix in order to defeat it. I know some people are hearing me say the matrix, and like this lady sound crazy right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and log off because I don't know what the hell she's talking about. But if you are able to sit in your discomfort and to control your emotions for a second and allow your mind to open up to an analysis that might be different from yours so we can engage in a dialogue, I bet you the conversation will be better. But a lot of people don't want to engage in the dialogue. A lot of people want to be right. They're committed to being right and they don't want someone else's perspective. And that's exactly one of the things that Ye is talking about. If we can consciously deny what is being said, that means we're aware of our denial. If we can consciously deny what is being said, but the spirit, our spirit, and our unconscious mind is in operation, it will always pick up the message. You may not catch the message today, but you will eventually catch it. So let's go ahead. Let's get started. From what I can see from my analysis, I believe that Ye makes 15 main points that I'm going to discuss tonight in today's broadcast, and then I'm going to be going 15 main points. Those of you guys who have been with me for a while, I suggest you go ahead and get your pen and your paper. It's one of those kind of nights. Remember when I always used to tell you guys, get your pen and paper, take notes so we can have the conversation. Is one of those nights, because I know some of you, not all of you, I know some of you did not sit and watch 5 hours of content of him being interviewed by one person after another person over the same situation over and over again. I know not many of you guys caught it. I know many of you guys are taking little clips that float around the internet and you watching those clips and you're formulating an opinion, but I really do suggest you watch the whole thing. So when I give you my 15 things that I take away from what Kanye is saying, you won't just want to challenge me without hearing it. You will hear it, then you can properly challenge me. See, a lot of us, we want to go and have these conversations about hearing what actually has been said. We don't want to study the person. We don't want to study the words. We don't want to take notes. We don't want to write down the content in which they're saying it and the context in which they're using it. But instead, we want to argue with one another because our mind is set on what we did not like, and that's the only point we want to make. The first point I heard Kanye say is our community. It is in no particular order. I'm not giving you these points in any particular order, but our community have been strategically placed in a certain voting block, and there are tactics that are being used to keep our community in a particular voting block. And what he wants us to do is to think outside of that block, to step away from the masses, to break loose from the control and try something different. He pointed out numerous times how we're controlled by the Democratic Party, and how the Democratic Party gets to dictate how we behave. I mean, how many of y'all heard me say this over and over again, right? That's why I said, Ye ain't saying nothing new. I want to respect the man with his new name and say Ye, right? But Ye ain't saying nothing new. I say all the time, they control how you think. They control how you vote. They control how you behave. And they tell you what your new culture is. And what he wants our community to hear is that you have to step outside of that thinking. You have to move away from what we have been conditioned to do for the many, 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 many years that we have been doing it to get nothing in return. The second point I hear him saying, number 2, y'all, right? Number 2. The people of our community words are police when it offends the others. Now, y'all going to have to read between the lines because there's certain things that I'm not going to be able to say for obvious reasons. Now, if you look at any of my video views on YouTube, you'll see those numbers have gone down dramatically. It's not because people are not watching, and it's not because people don't want to have the conversation, because they obviously do. A lot of people in my community have been there for been with me for a very long time, so they want to hear it. The views are low because now I'm censored. And you guys know how they do me. They censor me all the time. They police my words. They police what I talk about. They police how I show up. They want me to push an agenda that I refuse to push. Anytime I talk about the buffoonery in our community, anytime I highlight the buffoonery of our behaviors, they go ahead and they allow those videos to get 10, 20, 30,000 views. But when I talk about stuff that's going to cause you to think and to see yourself differently, those videos get 3 to 6, 7,000 views. Drastic differences. Drastic. It is done by design. And what Ye knows is that our voices are policed. And anytime we push back against the power structure, anytime we challenge the group thinkers, anytime we challenge the systematic control that is among our community, we are censored. We are told that we're wrong. We're made to apologize. We're fired. We lose jobs. All types of things start to happen. They do not want you to challenge them. They do not want you to highlight their behaviors that are inappropriate. You are told what you can say and what you cannot say. And the minute you say something that you cannot say, your livelihood, your integrity, your family structure is at risk. Point number three. Point number three. The new culture of our community has been re-engineered. Listen to what I'm saying, y'all. The new culture, I'm going to get into that in a second. The new culture of our community has been re-engineered. Every time you turn around, they tell us how to think, how to behave, how to act. They have stripped us from our original culture. They have stripped us from who we are, our identity as a people. We're so damn confused. We have so many different words to describe us. And at the same time, we don't want to be each other, right? We have so much division among us. We got so much confusion among us, and they like the confusion. No one is trying to clear it up. No one's trying to give you the information that they know they have about who we are. No one is trying to do that whatsoever. If you are a person that is an American descendant of slavery through the transatlantic slave trade here in America, also known as chattel slavery, if you're one of those people, they do not want you to know who you truly are. But instead, what they do is restructure your culture and they give you something new whenever they want to. As of right now, I see so many conversations happening about Black culture right now. And the Black culture that they speak about is not the Black culture I'm familiar with. But for some reason, mainstream media is promoting this and selling this as our culture. Who are they speaking about? I said this before in a video, and I will keep saying it until we all connect it and get it. As long as you are fed the same information over and over and over again, you're seeing the same songs or listening to the same songs and lyrics, you're seeing the same items on social media, you're seeing the same type of things in videos, you're seeing the same type of things in movies, you're seeing the same type of crap on television. As long as you see it over and over and over again, you will believe that this is a true reflection of who you are as a people. Everyone else understands this for their culture, and they do not allow it to occur on mainstream media or in any type of media. They do not allow it to occur. They do not allow anyone to tell them who their culture are or to socially engineer their culture so they can control a whole group of people to think and behave a certain way. Every other culture knows that you should not do that. Every other culture forbids it to happen. Every other culture fights back because they have the finances and the power to do so. And so Ye points out that our finances is controlled by someone else. He points out that our culture is dictated and defined by someone else. He points out that our community is owned by someone else. But no one wants to have that conversation. He makes it very clear that this new culture in our community has been re-engineered. It has been socially engineered and given to our people. And as long as the offense is not of somebody else, no one takes notice or cares enough to stop what's going on, because they know when you play something or show something over and over and over and over again, it changes the way people think. It changes their thinking. Number 4, the same rules of offensive language, obscene language, does not apply to our community. The same rule of offensive and obscene language does not apply to our community. You could say what you want about a member of our community. He makes a very good point, Ye that is, makes a very good point when he points out that Quentin Tarantino can direct Leonardo DiCaprio to use the N word over and over and over and over again in the movie Django, and nothing happened or happens to him. In fact, he's praised. In fact, he still gets roles. In fact, Quentin Tarantino can still put his movie on the screen. He can direct that, and they call it art. They don't see it as offensive. They don't censor it. They don't stop it. And they don't say, no, this is just not right. This is not something we should relive like this. So you can do that to our community, but you will not do that to your own. No one takes, I'm going to watch my words with how I say this, because I know how YouTube and other platforms are. But we don't deny, I'll talk for myself. I ain't going to talk for all of us, okay? I'll talk for myself. If y'all want to chime in and say me too, Doc, then I know I don't stand alone, but I don't want to assume that y'all stand with me. So I'm going to talk for myself. I do not deny that other atrocities have not happened to another community that is or feels oppressed, that feels discriminated against, that feels the need to have defamation laws put into place to make sure that their community is not harmed or reharmed because they have experienced an atrocity. I understand that. I believe that to be true. I understand that it has happened. And I respect that. I respect their journey. I respect what they refuse to allow people to use their pain for their gain. Why isn't that the same for us? I do not see anyone making movies about another person's genocide and highlighting throughout the course of the movie the vile, disrespectful, hurtful language and behaviors of others used to oppress, control, and kill thousands of people. But for some reason, every year we're given the same type of movie over and over again. And for some reason, that is okay for people to make millions off of that. See, Ye was saying that the same rules have to apply. We have to put it across the screen. We cannot allow people to exploit our pain. We cannot allow people to capitalize off of our pain. But for some reason, those who control the movie industry does not apply the same rules. And that's a problem. If we're going to talk about getting better as a nation, the same rules have to apply across the board. If we are not able to tell our narrative through our eyes, then there's no justice there. There is no equality and there is no equity there. What do I mean? They tell us the stories that they want us to hear. They tell us the narrative of our ancestors who have come before us, who have been faced with genocide, who has been faced with massive rape, who has been faced with the worst atrocities of the world that we have ever seen in America ever. Ever. They do not tell the story of our heroes among our ancestors. They do not make the films that promote and highlight the heroes among our ancestors, but instead they choose to create movies that show us in our weakness, that show us docile, that shows us submissive, that shows us ignorant. That shows us in a niggardly state. Now, before you go ahead and decide to report my video, I think that you should take a time out to look that word up as an actual word and it means something before you assume I'm saying something offensive, because I am not. The same rules have to apply. Just as they do not want someone else to tell their story. Mel Gibson could not tell their story without an outrage. The same rules have to apply. And Ye pointed that out. Point number five. Point number five. He pointed out in more than one interview that he had that I watched regarding this situation that has occurred with him. In but so many ways, he has communicated that critical thinking is discouraged and critical thinking is policed. I'm going to say that again. Critical thinking is discouraged and critical thinking is policed. You are not allowed to analyze something and come up with your own conclusion that may go against the mainstream narrative. You're not allowed to do that. That is discouraged because they promote groupthink. Let me tell you something. Let me just, and Sid, I see your message. I'm going to get to that in a second. So y'all remember I did the video about the incident that happened in DC with the lady on the bus, where the media made that story out to be terrible. The minute the media put, everybody just, I even felt bad. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy when I saw the snippet that the media gave. But because of critical thinking, I kept researching and digging and digging and digging and digging because I wanted to see everything that was in that video. I didn't want to see whatever they gave me. I wanted to see the video in its entirety so I can judge it for myself. And even though I pointed out more than one time, I played the video more than one time for this community and the visitors that come to this community. I played it more than one time that the door opened and stayed open for a very long time and she did not choose to get off the bus. That was a narrative that made all of you guys, not all of you guys, a lot of people that came to visit this channel, because I know my family's A1, B1, we all together, right? We got the sauce. We know what's up, right? But there's a lot of people that come visit this channel and it offended them. They were outraged that they were offended and they could not believe that I even said that she had an option to get off the bus, and they were so upset that they reported my channel and I have a strike on that video. Critical thinking is discouraged and it is policed. And Ye was absolutely right about that. Ye was absolutely right about that. And even when he's in his critical thought, they wanted him to shut up. They did not want to hear anything. They only wanted him to talk about what was offensive and what they wanted to talk about. And that's a problem. Point number 6. We're up to number 6, y'all. The music and entertainment industry is inflammatory. Ooh. I'm not going to try to stay on this one long because y'all know I could stay on this one all damn day. But the music and entertainment industry is inflammatory to our community. The music and entertainment industry is inflammatory to our community. The music and entertainment industry is inflammatory to our community. It is a social engineering pilot that they have been using as a weapon of mass destruction. But if you say that, you are censored, you are silenced, you are called crazy, you're called dumb, stupid. Where did you get your degree from? What are you doing? You're divisive, you're spreading hate. That is everything they say, but no one steps back and thinks about the music industry and how it's inflammatory to our community. And they know that they have the power to dictate and control what they put on the air and what they will not put in the air, but they instead decide to put it on the air because they know that our youth and our feeble-minded people in our community, and it's not to be offensive, we have young people and we have feeble-minded people, regardless of your age. Don't get offended. Don't get offended. We know once you do that, you can control and dictate their culture. You can change it. You can colonize them in a different way. You don't believe me? I want y'all to go to any social media platform, whether it is TikTok, Instagram. I'm not on Facebook, right? I do my live stream to Facebook, but I don't go through Facebook. I don't scroll through Facebook. I don't entertain nobody on Facebook. You want to catch me, you got to come to the gram. I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, but I'm not on Facebook. But if you go through any of these platforms, TikTok, Instagram, I suppose Facebook, whatever, and you see many of these twerking videos, scantily clothed women in these videos, guys saying inflammatory things about black women saying inflammatory things about black men. You got babies twerking, you got them dancing disgustingly. You have anytime it just those kind of things come through my feed, I put report this. I report it and I say it's offensive because I don't want to see nobody twerking their asses on my feed. Every challenge that comes out has to be seductive. It is disgusting. It is disgusting. You don't wonder why they push this through? You can have your ass cheeks out. You could be doing inappropriate dance moves that are, that dance moves that should be censored. When you be showing people get shot on social media, killed on social media, and you have the little thing that goes on that says this video is graphic and sensitive before you enter it, before they let you see it. They should do the same thing with those twerking videos. And Ye talked about this. Ye talked about when he was growing up, when we're about the same age, Ye and I are, right? We're about the same age. So I would say when we were growing up, because I remember the times in which he's speaking about when you went into the movie store, whether it was a VCR, whatever those tapes were called, VCRs, that's what it's called, right? The VCR tapes, I forgot what they call VHS tapes. I think that's the name of it. Somebody let me know. But Ye talked about there was a time where it was the rated R movies, right? Or the movies that was not appropriate for children. And they sat in a different part of the store, closed off from the younger people. And it was somebody who sat there to guard those images to make sure the younger people did not go and look at those kind of images because they knew how toxic and dangerous it was for their mind. But nowadays, we don't have that anymore. All of that has been removed, and every age can get every type of incident, whether appropriate or inappropriate, on social media right there in a click of a link. They can go on YouTube, they can go on Instagram, they can go on Facebook, and they can find anything they want to see. You got people doing nasty things, you got disgusting memes about people and their oral sex and all other types of sexual behaviors, and no one says a damn thing about it. No one censors those pages, no one stops people from sharing those modes, and everyone will share it like it's wildfire. Those things that have 1 million views, 400,000 views, ain't nobody going to share this, but everyone shares that junk. Ye talked about that. He said they are no longer censoring that because it's a greater agenda. And that's part of the agenda of the music and entertainment industry is inflammatory. It's okay to have our women highly sexualized, our young girls highly sexualized, and no one is blocking that content. Now, we're not going to act like people from other cultures, races, or ethnicities are not out there doing inappropriate things, because those videos come along too, but you don't see those videos constantly fed through your feed. You see our videos fed through those feeds over and over and over again. But instead of having this conversation on any of those interviews, they want to talk about what he said that was offensive. Not able to move past that. There was a greater message here that nobody wants to talk about. Because in order for us to speak about it, then that means we have to take accountability. And I'm not saying we as just our community, I'm talking about we as the American people. If you speak on it, you have to then be in a position to become accountability and or responsible. And we know to be accountable and responsible are things that are super, super hard for many people to do. Number 7, the people are lied to, and the lies must be revealed and challenged. What Ye was doing was pulling out all the lies that are told. The people he's referring to is not just our community. He was referring to the American people. They have been lying to the American people as a way of controlling us. It's fascist, it's socialist, and it's dangerous. But for some reason, people do not like, and I'm not going to say people, because I know a lot of us, we do push back and we get censored, right? We get blocked, we get censored, we get banned, we get strikes, we get threatened. But it's not enough of us pushing back against the power structure. And when I say not enough of us, I'm talking about every last one of us who identify as American. It's not enough of us pushing back. We accept lies. We go by lies, and the lies that they're telling is designed to make you very afraid. And when you are afraid, you do things out of fear. And he highlighted that. He highlighted the fear mongering that is occurring. He highlights all the disrespect and the lies that are being told. He highlights the greatest divisive acts to the American people and the people behind it. But that's not the conversation that they wanted to have. They wanted to talk about an apology. Once again, policing what you can and cannot say. Number 8, his 8 point. Media intentionally traumatizes our community in order to control our movement, our thoughts, and our actions. I'm going to say that again. Media intentionally traumatizes our community in order to control our movements, our thoughts, and our actions. When you turn on the news and it's something that is violent, criminal, and evil, what face do you typically see? Did you know that most people who are beaten, shot, and killed by the police actually do not look like us? I'm just going to ask you that question. Did you know that most people who are beaten, shot, and killed by the police actually do not look like us? Did you know that? But if you show us continuously over and over and over and over again in the media, what do you think is going to happen to the minds of the American people? We're going to feel victimized. We're going to feel that our lives are at risk. I'm not going to say that these things are not here. I'm not going to say that they don't happen. But what I'm saying to you is if you let the media paint the story, it is only happening to us. And that is not true. In order to get your vote, they have to scare you. And I know a lot of us don't like to talk about the things that are political, but this is your family structure is political. Everything boils down to politics. But media does not want you to be critical in your thoughts. They don't want you to look at these things. The power at B don't want you to do that. They want you to do what you have always been doing. And they promise to give you the same thing they have always given you. They have to do that intentionally. They have to create fear in you intentionally. They have to have you think that you are the ones that are the only ones that's getting beaten, killed, raped, murder. Your black men are the only men that are shooting their women, beating their women, raping their women. Your men are the only men that are leaving their children, leaving their families. Your men are the only men that own child support. This is what the media want you to believe, and that is not the truth. It is not the truth. But if they show you that over and over and over again, you're going to believe it to be true. And if you Google it and you go to images, you Google anything negative, you go to images, you're going to see your face. So you're going to automatically believe that it's happening to your community and your community alone, or at least primarily. And that is not the truth. Ye knows this. And Ye talked about the trauma. Ye, if you look at it on the outside when he was talking to Piers Morgan, if you look at it on the outside and you're not putting on your critical thinking cap, you're going to be like, oh God, he's like a little kid. He's so childish. Oh, why is he doing that? Why is he calling him boy? Why is he saying Chris? His name is not Chris. Why is he being so ignorant? If you don't have in your critical thinking hat, you would say that. But anybody who has been in that position know exactly what he was doing. We know exactly what was happening because there are many times we are called names that are not our names. There are many times that our men are called boys. There are many times when we are interrupted, cut off, and made to feel like we can't think for ourselves, and they have to tell us what we are thinking. That has occurred so many times. And when Ye was doing that same thing back to Piers Morgan was getting upset, but yet he was too naive in his thought to even realize that Ye was just reflecting what we get every day. The microaggressions and the macroaggressions that we get every day. Every day we get it. And when he was doing it, it was annoying the hell out of Piers Morgan. It was making him upset. Well, how do you think we feel? But when he does it, he's a child. When he does it, he's mentally ill. When he does it, he's ridiculous and he needs to be canceled. And I'm not here to say whether he went about it the right way or the wrong way. That's not for me to say. It was the fact that I was able to understand where he was coming from. I was able to feel his pain. I understood his thought process, and I believed he was in his sane mind. But because the media wants you to believe one thing about him, the only thing you're going to see him through is a mind that says he's ill. Going on to point number 9. This is a very, very important one. Words can be offensive, but if you are not bold, no one will listen to you or engage you in a dialogue. I'm just trying to tell you, I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. Words can be offensive. However, if you're too afraid to be bold, if you're afraid to season your words with salt so that it burns, no one will listen to you. No one will want to engage you in a dialogue. He's been talking about this forever. We have been talking about this forever. Our community have been speaking about this forever. And how you all get the attention is because he offended a lot of people. If he had not offended so many people, would everyone, at least those of us who are critical in our thought, would we have been able to hear what he's been saying? Would he have been talking to Piers Morgan and allow for him to express what he sees happening to our community over and over again? Would he have been able to say how offensive the music and entertainment industry is? Would he be able to highlight how discrimination is still found in those contracts? Would he be able to point any of those things out and have them listen if he wasn't inflammatory with his language? See, there's inflammatory language about our people and toward our community every day. Every day. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right. But what I am saying is I hear him when he's saying it was necessary. This is not about agreeing or disagreeing. This is about seeing it through his lens. And that's how you're able to understand what someone is saying. That's what empathy looks like when you're able to see it through somebody else's lens. See, there's a problem when you want us to see it through your lens, but you're unwilling to see it through ours. That is a problem. That is a problem. We don't get anywhere with that. Effective communication is that we understand it from both people's perspective. That's what effective communication looks like. But when you're committed to being right and you have an agenda, you are unable to hear it from another person's perspective. I'm not just talking about Ye, I'm talking about us as a people, every last one of us. People are fighting because of misunderstanding. But if we step back and be able to see it from multiple perspectives, we will increase our own intelligence. We will increase our ability to critically think about what is being said and come up with proper solutions. But when we are not willing to do that, we create war. Number 10, labeling dictates who a person is and how they will be treated. That's another point he's making. Labeling dictates who a person is and how they will be treated. If you label us criminals, and even if we're not, you would treat us as such. If you label Ye crazy, even if he's not, he will be treated as such. Labels are powerful. We all know this. We all know this, but yet they will label him crazy, ill, but reject the label that he puts on others. So why is one right and the other one is wrong? It's either they're both wrong or they're both right. Point number 11, the contracts. The contracts, whether it's the entertainment contracts, whether they're business contracts, whether they're sports contracts, whether they're tech contracts, what he wants, professional contracts, what he wants to do is bring them all to the table because he said these contracts reflect discrimination among our community. And he said how you reveal that is bring them all to the table and have the top lawyers. When he said top lawyers, he's talking about lawyers that have a great history, like Johnny Conqueror, may he rest in peace. Lawyers that have a great history, like Kim Kardashian's, the Kardashians' father, right? How he was one of those phenomenal lawyers. He's saying bring people at that level and let them review the contracts and let the legal terms in those contracts speak for itself, whether it's discriminatory or not. Put it all out there, bring it to the table so we all can see it. But nobody wants to talk about that. Instead, they want an apology. So someone says, what's the point? I'm going to tell you what he was making. I'm going to tell you the point that he was making. See, the next four things I'm going to tell you is the solution to what he was saying. But when Piers Morgan and others want to talk over him, they're not capturing it. They want to cut him off. They're not. The only thing they wanted was an apology. They don't give a flying pig's ass what he was saying. The only thing they wanted was an apology. But what he's trying to say is there is an agenda within the matrix. And here's the agenda that we have to get a hold of as a community. They control the factories, the manufacturing, and the distribution. Trying to own a factory, trying to own the manufacturing or the distribution, you're blocked because it's controlled by them. And until we're able to do this, we're going to struggle. That was the point he's making. Another point he's making is when you destroy the family unit, you do so by removing the men. When you destroy the family unit, you do so by removing the men. I'm going to let y'all sit on that because we talk about this all the time. Number 14, which is point number 3, when you restructure the family structure from how it's godly designed to be, when you restructure the family structure, you cause chaos. And you cause chaos because then you'll be able to eventually control the family. And the last point he was making is when you take power away from the fathers, civilization as we know it will crumble. When you take power away from the fathers, civilization as we know it within our community will crumble. I'm going to just sit on that for a second. He's not saying anything I haven't been saying to y'all for a long time. He's not. The children are out of control. The parents are out of control. The music industry is out of control. The visuals we see on TV geared toward our community are out of control. Civilization in our community has crumbled. Has crumbled. I'm going to say this to you guys and I'm out of here. I'm also going to read you guys something. I want you to open up your mind when I read this to you. So I just want you to think about it, right? Saying two things to y'all and I'm out. The first thing I want to do is I want to remind you guys of that study I went over with you all like a year or two ago. Like 2 years ago. And I told you all about a study over the elephants in a region of Africa. The young male elephants were out of control. If you Google it, you'll find it. You'll find the research. It's awesome. It's awesome. They were out of control. The young male elephants had the town people scared. The young male elephants was tearing up the community. They were knocking down trees. Typically speaking, the elephants do not leave the wild and come into the town, but they was coming into the town. They were tearing the rhinos' tusk off their faces. They was finding dead rhinos everywhere, and they thought poachers was coming through the community to steal the rhinos' tusk. But yet they were finding the tusk and finding dead rhinos, and the scientists did not know what was happening. And then one time they set up the cameras and stuff to watch in the middle of the night what was really happening to these rhinos, who were killing the rhinos. And they saw the young male elephants being the ones who were killing the rhinos, raping them. I'm telling y'all, elephants, look at the study. Out of control. They were wreaking havoc in the community. They were going up to people, busting them in their cars. They had the people scared. They had the rhinos scared. They had the scientists scared. They had everybody scared because these elephants were out of control. Once upon a time, elephants was able to come up to the scientists or the man, and they would listen and say, go over there, and they'll push them, they'll walk away. The elephants was coming down, bucking up on them. The scientists was moving back, like, what the hell is wrong with you? Smacking their trunks, and the elephants was taking and hitting them and bushing them around. It was out of control, these young male elephants. So the scientists came in and they started to examine the bowel of the animals to see what the hormones level were like in these elephants. And they found that these young adult elephants had high hormone levels. Their hormones were raging, they were out of control, and they were too young for the type of hormones that they were finding. Sound familiar, y'all? So a great African scientist said, I got an idea. We need to go find one of the seniors, the OG. We need to go get one of the adult males to come and get them in shape. Somebody that they're not going to be able to bully. Somebody that they're going to have no choice but to respect. So they tranquilized this really big elephant. They transported him into the region that was out of control. They woke him up. They put him there. The young elephants came up to him, bucking at him like, yo, what's up? You like the dudes do in the street now, right? You can't tell this little 23-year-olds nothing. You can't tell these 19-year-olds nothing. They bucking at everybody, right? But the problem is people are scared of them. Not that elephant. They came bucking. The elephant stood his ground like, what's up? You want to get it? And little by little, all the elephants started to fall in line. They started to examine the bowel of the elephant again, and they realized that from the feces, the hormone levels were starting to return to normal levels. When they brought the male elephant, back into the community, he brought order and control. See, Ye is saying, when you remove the father from the community, you do so in order for you to control that community, because what's going to happen is the civilization of that community is going to crumble. And then you can kill off the males. You can work the women, get their votes, impregnate them. You can do all types of things. You got to get the male out of the picture. And we have been conditioned to help the system do that. You heard? We have been conditioned to help the system to do that. And Ye is pointing it out. He's pointing it out when he talks about our structure and how it is broken down, and how the music helps to perpetuate that, how media helps to perpetuate that, how the injustices in the pay scale helps to perpetuate that. The elephants were out of control. Our males are out of control. There was a second point that I was going to make, and I'm going to make it right now. All right. So I'm going to read this to you guys. I'm going to give y'all a disclaimer because I know how some of you are, right? I hear that said. So I'm going to read this to y'all, okay? Remember what I said, what they're focusing on. They want to focus on Ye's mental illness. They want him to remain ill. Not that he has a disorder that can be managed, but they want him to remain ill. They want you all to see him through that lens. So I'm going to read y'all something, then I'm out of here. So listen to what I'm going to say before I read it. So I want y'all to really understand that I know I have such a divided community. And I try to respect everybody, but that's not always possible, right? That's not always possible. And I don't try to make friends. I just try to educate so we can all be on at least the same page or a page close to each other, right? If I'm on paragraph 5 and you're on paragraph 1, but we're on the same page, it's all good. It's all good, right? If I'm on page 2 and you're on page 1, listen, we're in the same book. It's all good. It's all good. We're all on the same story, on the same track to finish the same damn story, right? I'm good with that. So I want y'all to know I'm going to read y'all a little scripture from the basic instructions before leaving Earth. Y'all know the basic instructions before leaving Earth. Somebody put that in the feed, right? Put that in the feed because some people get offended. You use certain words, but those who are critical thinkers and you're a part of this community, you should know what the basic instructions are before leaving Earth. What word does that spell out? Basic instructions before leaving Earth. Let me go ahead and read just up from there. And I want you to think about this in the lens of Kanye. Just for a second, y'all. I want you to think about this in the lens of Kanye just for a second. Okay, where is that? Give me 1 second, family. Whew. I got so many damn apps open, it ain't even funny. Okay. Here it goes. Okay. So I'm going to read just something. Oh, God. Give me a second, family. Oh, man. I had it up. I got to bring it up again. Here we go. Ready? What version I want to read it from? I'm going to read it from this version. So here we go. I want you to just think about this for just a second. Take all your judgments. Don't start bringing in conversations about church and stuff like this. Is not what this is about. Sometimes you got to be able to read things in order for you to think critically. I always say to people, be able and be willing to read everything. It doesn't mean that you agree with it. It doesn't mean that you have to believe in it. I want you to read everything because that's what's going to help you sharpen your critical thinking skills. You want to be able to read everything, unpack it, analyze it, formulate a new argument, whatever the case is. So I came across this. Well, I didn't come across because I already know because I know this. I know the basic instructions before leaving Earth, forward and backwards. Believe it or not, y'all, I know it forward and backwards. And I was talking to my partner about that. So you know what this situation with Ye reminds me of? Have you ever heard about Jesus and a madman? So he was like, no, I don't think I have. I said, you never heard of Jesus and a madman? But I know a lot of people don't read the Bible, right? I read it like a book. But I know a lot of people don't read the Bible. So I can't, they only know what their pastor tells them to know, right? But I said, let me read this to you, baby. So we sitting down before I was going live with you guys. I said, just listen to the story. And I want you to think about it in the lens of Ye. And I want you to tell me what you think. I don't like this version. This version is so damn. Okay, let's leave this version right here. I'm like, this is too much. Jesus. Gotta do all of this? Man. See, this is what's. I was going to start complaining about the basic instructions before leaving Earth because it's just too much. Too much. Why they be doing all of this? Like, why we got to do all of this? So anyway, it says, they arrived on the other side of the sea in the country of whatever the name is. As Jesus got out of the boat, a madman from the cemetery came up to him. He lived there among the tombs and the graves. No one could restrain him. He couldn't be chained, couldn't be tied down. He had been tied up many times with chains and ropes, but he broke the chains, snapped the ropes. No one was strong enough to tame him. Night and day, he roamed through the graves and the hills, screaming out and slashing himself with sharp stones. When he saw Jesus a long way off, he ran and bowed and worshiped before him. He howled in protest. What business do you have, Jesus, Son of the High God, messing with me? I swear to God, don't give me a hard time. Jesus had just commanded the tormented evil spirit, out, get out of the man. Jesus asked him, tell me your name. He replies, my name is Legion. Then he desperately begged Jesus not to banish them from the country. A large herd of pigs was grazing and rooting on a nearby hill. The demons begged him, "Send us to the pigs so we can live in them." Jesus gave the order, but it was even worse for the pigs than for the man. Crazed, they stampede off the cliff into the sea and drowned. Those tending the pigs, scared to death, bolted and told their story in town and country. Everyone wanted to see what happened. They came to Jesus and saw the madman, the man that says, "Don't come messing with me, Jesus," the crazy one, the madman. They saw the madman sitting there wearing decent clothes and making sense. Making sense. No longer a walking madhouse of a man. Those who those who had seen it told the others what had happened to the demon-possessed man and the pigs. At first they were in awe, and then they were afraid. They demanded that Jesus leave and not come back. Jesus was getting into the boat. The demon delivered man begged to go along, but he wouldn't let him. Jesus said, "Go home to your own people. Tell them your story, what the master did, how he had mercy on you." The man went back and began to preach to the 10 towns area about what Jesus had done for him. He was the talk of the town. What was so interesting to me in this story, and then I'm out of here, when I think about Ye, when the madman in the basic instructions before leaving Earth was crazy, nobody paid him no mind. When the madman said Bush don't like black people, nobody paid him any mind. Oh, he crazy. Was talking that crazy stuff. He was doing that crazy stuff. He gotta ignore. He's so stupid. When the madman said Beyonce did it better, nobody paid him any mind. When the madman said you gotta stop voting Democrats, stand with Trump, I'm gonna go kick it with Trump and see what happened. Everyone said he's crazy. What is he doing? He's so crazy. He's losing his mind. What's wrong with him? He's crazy. And now that the madman makes sense, now that the madman points it out, at least, and I'm pretty sure there's more points that y'all can pick up, at least 15 points. When I'm saying, he's exposing mother freakers left and right. When a madman makes sense, you are afraid. This is not about the story and the basic instructions before leaving Earth. I'm not selling you anything. I just found it interesting. I like to draw correlations. I like to juxtapose one story against another to make sense of it. We've seen it before. We've heard of it before. This is not a Bible story. I'm not talking to you guys to sell you something or not sell you something. I'm making a comparison here. Will you act crazy, nobody pay you any mind? Because they know what to do with the crazy person. Chain him up, throw him in jail. Gonna break the chains, get out of jail. Chain him up again, put him back in jail. Break the chain, the pattern. They know that pattern. But what would happen if we all got our mind right? What would happen if we became wise in our thoughts? What would happen if we start acting wild? What would happen if we stop twerking? What would happen if we stop listening to the music, we start buying it? What would happen if we stop signing contracts? What would happen if we start demanding people respect us? What would happen if we came together and came up with our own defamation laws and we can get you? What would happen if we started to pull together and start canceling people who say inflammatory things about us or play inflammatory music about us? What would happen if we stood up and we was in our sane mind? What would happen? What would happen? Is that when they would be afraid of us? What would happen If we pulled our money together and got our own manufacturing, our own distribution, our own factories, and did what other cultures do, what Koreans do, what Chinese do, what Indians do, what Middle Eastern families do, what would happen if we did that? What would happen if we started to raise our children differently? What would happen if we went back to dressing appropriately? What would happen if we went back to saying yes, sir, and no, sir, like my children, Mr. and Miss, like my children? What would happen if we started having family dinners on Sundays? What would happen if we started to teach our sons and our daughters how to court? What would happen if we took away their cell phones, if we took away their iPads? What would happen if we highlighted their education? What would happen if we held the schools responsible and took them out? Because you weren't teaching them and started to teach our own. What would happen if we got in our sane mind and we started doing things that would uplift our community as opposed to destroy it? What would happen? I think they would be very afraid. I think they would be very scared. I think they would think twice. No one has to think twice when it comes to a scary people, like a madman group of people. That community is ridiculous. That's how they all talk about us, right? For some reason, we're all grouped together. We're all the same, right? We're all monolith now. But that's how they look at us. Kid you not. Kid you not. I went to an event in a community, an inner city community today, where they're trauma specialists. I went to an event there. And somebody at the event said, Dr. E, that's your man? I said, sure is. He look hood. I said, he's far from hood, baby. He patrols your community. Far from hood. She said, he law enforcement? I said, yeah. Couldn't tell. So you ain't got to worry about that. Babe, come on, you ready? Went about our business. Went about our business. Right? Look at the judgments. And that was for my own community. Just because on a Saturday we like to wear sneakers. Right? Just because we like our gold. Right? It's crazy. See, when you paint an image and you say, if you look like this, you hood. It's the craziest thing. It's the craziest thing. But do you say that to other people that dress the same thing? Because ain't nothing he was wearing. I ain't gonna go there. But when we're in our community and we're walking about our community, we don't get the same reaction. We get thank you for your service. We get, hi, how you guys doing? Good morning. Good morning, guys. How are you? It's disrespectful. And that's our own community. We got work to do, family. Listen, I love every last one of y'all. I'm not here to tell you what to think. We can all have a different opinion. A difference of opinion is never a bad thing, right? We don't have to all be the same way. We don't have to have groupthink. We can all have a difference of opinion. That's the 15 things I got out of watching these different interviews by different people talking to Kanye about the same nonsense. The same nonsense. That's the message that he's been saying clearly from one interview to another interview to another interview. In every interview, everyone is focused on the same thing, the apology, not the message. Both need to be true. In Kanye's case, that is. I love y'all all. If you're not following me on Instagram, I suggest you go ahead and do so. That's when you'll hear more of my personal life. You'll have a lot of relationship topics and advice there. Great conversations there on Instagram when it comes to relationships and family, because we're about building a Black family unit. We're about putting the man back into the picture, right? We're about having the dynamics between the black man and the black woman to be powerful. Even if you're no longer to stay in that relationship, the father still has to be a part of that community. I'm not telling you all relationships are going to stay together, but the father still has to be a part of the community. And Ye even talked about that. If you listen to it, Ye, he said, I'm always going to be the priest of that family. And he's absolutely right. But see, when you try to strip a father of his power, what happens to the children? So I'm going to say, listen, y'all have a great night. Peace and blessings. Follow me on Instagram. Ladies, make sure you go ahead and visit my store at helpingcouplesreconnect.com. Get your massage oil candles, get your pheromone, get your shaving cream. If you know what I'm talking about, can't say it out on this station, I might get banned. But go ahead to that store, helpingcouplesreconnect.com. Place your orders. Love you all. See you all soon for our next topic.